Greetings, join us. All right, got Tail here. Guess who's here? She's back. It's Priscilla. She's helping out. She wants to run. Oh no! No! No. Yeah, we're back there too much. I should start tearing stuff apart. Okay, this is a reptilian, feline, wolf, or canine, insectoid energies, and go on with that. This kind of, it's basically they all have their own evolution. This is just the basics again, or just of course they go through their own trauma as humanoid beings, their own humanoid experiences. Of course, there are other people out there that just can't seem to get out of those experiences. Yeah, well, nothing but therapy can help you for that one, maybe. Yeah, some have created a career out of trauma. Or living in another reality, they can't seem to get their head out of it. Not to go into the details of that. Yeah, it's like, that lifetime's over, time to let go. That's not always the case, though. Some can't let it go. So, but what I'm getting to is, these reptilian worlds, feline, go on, canine realms. They don't. They have their own realities where they don't even know about aliens or even about us, or they're just like us in their own. Like our world is, I guess you could say, there's another version of Earth that's like that. Like it's just reptilian beings that kind of living what we're living, kind of. And feline, and you can go on with that forever. Sort of like what we're going through here on a version of Earth, but also like in another star system. They have their own, evolution. That's something new. Obviously, we had the kindergarten version of it. You can say. It feels like, I don't know. It feels like something that I don't know. Should bring up. Maybe it's just not. I don't bring it up like ever, but I know of it. But I remember I had a vision of it, like a feline world, humanoid, and they're going through. I didn't get the full detail, but you had an idea. Like they're getting messed with. Just like how we are, like through the lower dimensions, and they're kind of stopped in their evolution, just like us. Some of the worlds are like that. And like I said, not in our star system, like in some other, like Sirius or wherever you can go on. There's all different other alien. I'm just connected to, some, just reptilian, feline, wolf, insectoid, of course, the bird energies. And so on. There's always some kind of evolution that's going on, or metamorphosis, or just evolution, whatever we call it. But we're going through our challenges here in our version of it, and all kind of we can't go through everything here, of course. But it all has a purpose, even if you don't see it. But either way, it's just the reason I'm bringing it up. I guess you can say it's just kind of putting it out there for whoever finds this, if they do. So like if you're wondering what's causing your own, distortion or whatever it might be. Of course, there's past life stuff just here on this world, other human incarnations that can cause you difficulties or why you made, mistakes in this lifetime. Of course, we're also in our age currently, our evolution. We have the 1950s. It's kind of like the growth, building phase. Maybe not always the best energies there, but nobody's perfect because there's like a Nordic manipulation there, racism issues. So nothing's ever perfect, but it can always be better. But either way, it's and the mentality is still here. Well, watching television, stuck in some kind of mindset is still there. We still have a lot of 1950s. It can go older than that, but I think it's a 1950s still mindset. And as more people are connected to the aliens, all it goes more to a hyperactive, hyper reality, astral psychosis. Where you speed up your energy field. But now generations, though, like my generation's not great. Well, it could be worse. I wasn't too excited about growing up, and of course I went through a lot of stuff. It's probably heavier than a lot of other people had to go through, but I didn't get the childhood like other people did. But anyway, I'm not going into that. Or the growing up phase was a lot heavier. But now we have this new generation, I guess, in their 20s or whatever it might be, and like in the destructive phase. Of course, I think the generation before that was kind of that same way. We have nothing to build, so we just destroy themselves and everyone around them. Yeah. So, because even my generation was still a building phase. Of course, it was a little bit lazier than a generation before, or of course, the generation before ours was toxic. Of course, every generation is toxic. So either way, but to go back to the alien energies, or you can go on and on with that, but it's just it's kind of a strange topic, but it feels like it needs to be brought up. So I just connect to the frequencies of it, to channel the energies of it, and bring in what is necessary. Because like as a reptilian being, you learn different challenges. As a feline being, you can handle they go through a lot of challenge, even just without knowing about the aliens and all that. You just go through they're like third dimensional beings that are just going to their own hell earth or hell planet to some level. It doesn't have to be exactly like ours, but the wolf energy is interesting, especially the werewolf. A lot of magic is there, and of course you have the vampire energies. Of course there are worlds where vampires and wolf people do living among each other, maybe not always for the best vibes, but the wolf is different. Like they have their own evolution. Some of it's done by magic, some of it's done by curse, and so on. When they transform into the psychotic creature. Of course, you have that here too. Just take a bunch of drugs, and depending on what it is, it turns into a creature yourself. Or turn into a monster, or whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be a wolf being. It can be something psychotic. So there's that. Insectoid beings, obviously, that's a lot more. Of course, the mantis, they do a lot of work on the humanoid or anything for that matter, because you look at different mantis beings and they're like, here they're all dressed up, and it's like all crazy how many versions of mantis we have here. I don't think many people are aware of it. Yeah, they're like designer mantis beings, or they're just regular mantis, but they have like some look like a regular green mantis, and others are all dressed up diamond mantis. It's like, so they've been busy with their evolution, but they're part of our evolution. We always say human evolution at some point somewhere, and so on. The Martian always comes off to me as well. There's a beautiful version of the Martian, also, and there's the mutant version is what I get. And when the mutant stuff went into Atlantis, because Atlantis started to just do things they weren't supposed to do. That's just they're doing that now. It's just something. The mad scientist energy, nothing's changed there. So it's kind of a weird topic, but I think hopefully some people are still following some level. Maybe just words might not always. I'll bring the vibes in. I was having talk. We have our sessions, a scheduler. I'm still working on designing the page. I'm tired of messing with it. The basics are out of store here. Also, yes, the AI art. That kind of gives it more spunk here. Hopefully it's understood how this all works here. Hopefully it's not too confusing. I'm still fixing things. Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to the evolution of alien just of that in general. Just tap into the consciousness of it, and we go into our version of it. Go into the alien version of evolution. Alien evolution is probably a better word for it, And Metamorphosis, yeah, this isn't exactly the best wording. It's like yeah, it's kind of ugly there. But anyway, it's an evolution, human evolution frequencies. So, all right, so we're going to alien evolution and just get the consciousness, higher consciousness of it. So I think I saw this comes to mind. Somebody talked about if you tap into astral, well, it all depends, but we get information all over the place. It doesn't really matter. And if you're a crazy person, you're just going to get crazy no matter what. Or you're overly positive, which is a lot of that out there. Like delusion, there's so much out there. And that seems like the biggest seller out there. Yeah, it's whatever. It's like it's alien religions. They're just out of control here. And they're fighting among each other, which is quite entertaining, sort of. It's part of the evolution of that's just evolution going nowhere, but whatever. All right, so here we go. The alien consciousness of humanoid evolution, similar to us. Okay, blessings. Greetings. Yeah, consciousness of yes, human evolution or alien interpretation, human. Either way, it's basically consciousness of human evolution throughout the universe. The reptilian, there is basically as a reptilian being, you are in a certain way. Aggression, not always. There is a more of a kinder spirit that comes in. Well, it depends. It's like in the early stages, the early ages of any species is going to be barbaric, depending on where they came from, how they evolved. They can be very warrior-like. So not all reptilians are like that. Some are just there's rattlesnake beings, or that's not. Yes, that's not one you probably have heard about very often for a good reason. A world that's constantly on the attack. But not all reptilians are like that. You see different, you look up reptilians just on, your internet, which is nice. The internet can even do that. You can't do that in an old library. You might have a book of reptilians, but at least on the internet, you can see a lot more vast different types. Like the iguana is usually a very laid back. So iguanas, for the most part, there's always a world where they are at conflict with each other, but then there's others that are just so laid back, sitting in the sun. Just they do evolve into it. Some of them they do have like a third dimensional reality, but they also go into more of the fourth, wherever they can go to just do nothing. But they're not cleaning their clothes. They're not. And they might have, some of them might have some kind of clothing if you need necessary. But there are, of course, there are also reptilian races that are necessary for war, because the war with themselves, and then it goes into basically evolution. Because if you have beings that are always relaxing all the time, not much comes out of that really. But you do need to relax, but others need to be there are explorer reptilian beings and so on. The feline energies brought more of a softer frequency, but also their emotions, similar to human here, can get out of hand. They can get spooked very easily. They can get warrior-like to some level, maybe not to the level of the reptilian. They can, if they need to, because evolution, like as some of you have heard, like a reptilian reality or a warrior race comes into more of a peaceful race. The peaceful race eventually, and sometimes there is some naive energy there, evolves and goes into a hybrid of basically you're mixing the two races. And you can say the wars on your planets are kind of jumping around a little bit, but have a lot to do with just a mix of race here. Also mix you up, not necessarily for the elite, but just for yourselves. Think about the wars here. Yes, not exactly the best frequency throughout your history. It's just you come to a level of your growth where you need change. And to do that is war. And this unsettles the frequencies and you become something else. Now, obviously, death here was necessary. Mass death was necessary for this world's growth. At this time, because the choices are already made, and now you're going into more of a peaceful time. But everything has, because there is a certain goal to all this. This isn't just for why not. It's more. There is a reason, especially where you are today. And you basically, like the human here, is taking on so many different DNAs from all these different alien races and yourselves. You're mixing it in and you're evolving. In the past is through war, but you still have war through society, the war of words and realities you're currently going through today. So, as for the wolf frequencies, the wolf is very interesting because it shows you a bit of magic there. You have a human, gets intoxicated, becomes a creature, or brings out that monster within itself. The werewolf frequency, of course, you have the vampire. Vampires actually have the same type of frequency. Of course, your vampires, as you can see, are stealth here. Actually, worse in your reality because you don't see them walking around with the teeth. Sometimes you do, but they're still very human. They're not flying, they're not turning into a bat and flying away. Instead, they're running your corporations and your relationships and so on. And you have to decipher who is a vampire, who is not, and so on. The wolf frequency is basically there's different ways of looking at that. A parent can create their child as a creature, or friends can turn their friend into a creature, a wolf being, a monster, whoever. Just because they're, whatever they're going through, and then someone, a weaker one, or just a spell frequency, or out of jealousy. So it does still exist. Insectoid frequencies is kind of like the mad scientist energy, you can say. Not always the best frequency, but yes, dabbling in things they should not be. But then again, they don't look like everybody else either. They're because there are humanoid insectoid beings. Of course, then you see a more mutate, the fly, human mutates into a fly. Some of your fiction has that. Those are not fun realities. You're alien, the parasite alien. So you do have some kind of, well, there are space parasites, yes, and they're a aware race too. Usually no brain whatsoever, just evolution, just to just evolve, whatever and they still exist, of course. You're just going to run into this type of thing. Of course, it's this universe is trying everything. Bizarre, as you can see. Well, what has been brought to it, explore to its fullest level, the lightest version and the darkest version, as you can see. And the human evolution. So obviously you have versions of all these type of alien beings, the pig frequencies, and so on, the horse energy. Of course, you have your human pig that's just dirty. Of course, some kids are just like being pigs, like that side of themselves. Eventually have to grow up and become more pristine, similar to like a reptilian being or a feline, like grow up into adults with more prestige, hopefully. So there's different stages of human. Not everybody goes through those type of things, but the feline is more trying to bring more of a softer, kinder frequency. Not always, though. Even as you can see, just because you have looks of attractiveness, then they can use that as a weapon also. Reptilian is not known to hide it. They just show it that they're aggressive, similar to like a football player. Doesn't mean they're out. That's when they can also be like a gentle giant too. Yeah, they might look like they're a warrior, but also they can be very kind at the same time. So in your evolution here, you basically in your timelines, understanding more of yourselves is, yes, going out into the bizarre and yes, connecting to your, if you need to, a reptilian side, a whatever animal energy you feel you're connected to. And because it can also answer some of the reasons why you've acted the way you are as far incarnate. Many of our fairy frequencies here. Sometimes fairies can be psychotic, but also some can be too lenient. But you've probably felt as a fairy being incarnated as a human that you kind of eventually got smart to like you understand the spiritual, but also you you can handle very harsh environments spiritually, meaning like dark wizards and all kinds of crazy things that might come into your life. Some of you know what that means, others aren't, but you have some kind of idea. And also because the nature here has been weaponized too, through the weather, even just through Mother Nature in general, through trees and things like that. Because you walk into a forest, a tree limb might fall on you or whatever it might be, because there's still a battle going on no matter where you are. Of course, humans feel like, oh, this is nature, it should be fine. Not always. Sometimes it has a chip on the shoulder towards humanity. Of course, for whatever reason, doesn't mean it has. Some forests don't like humans, others are more welcome to it because some forests are just connected to so many different realities. There is a good side, but also a side of just madness. Well, because it's part of your growth. So as society starts to evolve, slowly you can see these things more. You can see the feline, the reptilian within each other to a certain level, and also help heal it as you evolve into more of a, not necessarily a non-physical awareness. It doesn't mean the physical still exists here to some level, but become more spiritually aware, as some will say, and be able to heal partly not all of this, because you still need it to function here. You need your darkness to function here on this world, as you can see. You need your light to help you survive it, but the darkness kind of grounds you here. There's some kind of darkness here that everyone has just to walk you into the planet and to warn from it. And then when you're done, you release it. That's why entities here can use it against you, because you don't know about your own darkness. They can weapon it, your insecurities, whatever it might be. And that's what you're here to learn, to heal it, balance it, become a better human, manifesting when it's necessary, and so on. So we are bringing more of this higher dimensional knowledge here, but just basically healing the physical human. So basically, you can call a human body as kind of like a machine, but also as you do so, you realize also the origins of it to some level. Not everything. It's so far back. Everyone's going to have their own version of it. But here on this world, that's the perfect vehicle for this experience you're going through. It's like, well, you could have been reptilian beings here, just that, or feline. But as a human, you're kind of like alien to all of those things. And you can also go deeper into the challenges here because you feel like you're the only race out there. Of course, as a feline race, or a reptilian race, if you just chose that, you can feel the same way. But for what you're here to do here, is just a uniqueness of just because your instincts are different here, more shut down. Because the reptilian beings, they usually are pretty evolved, intuitive wise, same as the felines. Notice their ears, so they, their eyes are very different than yours. Of course, they can always change it to be human, but as a human, you're basically like a shut down human. A shut down human that's wanting to reconnect, bring in more of a feline, a reptilian frequency, or more heightened awareness, change your features, whatever it might be, to evolve to what you need to be here, to to what your soul signature is, whatever it might be, because everyone's different. So some of you are feline beings, some of you are reptilian beings, and so on. Some insectoid beings. Yeah, that's always kind of fascinating. But as you start showing your true colors here, you already see it to some level in a human form, but eventually it'll become more clear over time. You're not quite there yet. And the version of human you have here will still exist in different colors, blue, green, things like that. It's obviously it's a little bit heavy for that. Right now, if you have a blue person walking around, of course, you see that in some religions, India, but not quite there yet. On your somewhat, somebody will find a way to be that way, blue, green, whatever it might be. But the population is not ready for that because it definitely changes your molecules and everything about you. Doesn't mean you make a non-physical energy, but it just shows that you're ready to become yourself. So